Hello, hello, hello there, my friends, my family. Don't think I have any family watching me, but at least my friends and random strangers on the internet. Good evening, everybody. My name is Josh, and thank you so much for tuning in to Dead Men Streaming. We're back with Cities Skylines 2 because this build has had my interest for weeks, and honestly, I really just want to push this. I want to do this, and we want to do it right. Okay, let me get my. Is that pin? Yeah, that pinned. Okay, so here's where we were, and I'll tell you where we're at now. Where we were. When I left you, lovely people, last, it was in the middle of the afternoon, and we had made some major city improvements. Really quick, just a couple notes before we really get deep into this, though. Today is January the something. Today's January the something. Today is January the 9th, 2025. And while I am doing this initially on Twitch, it is my hope to have all of these videos uploaded to YouTube, where people I'm sure will mock me mercilessly. So we'll go from there. All right, let me tell you about the process that happened last time, just as a quick recap. When we started, our trash was getting out of control. So we did the only sane thing. We took out a massive loan. We bought and built first a landfill, and we hated that because just they're terrible. We had to quickly upgrade to an incineration plant because landfill filled up really fast. Unbelievable. We have a city of 15,000 people and the landfill filled up. Can't imagine that. Incineration plant worked great, was expensive, and polluted the crap out of everything, but it solved our garbage problem, and we were able to capitalize on that enough that we could justify taking out another loan, and we built the light of my eye for this game, and that's the geothermal power plant. And we went through a long process of that, which basically uh, revolved around finding valid groundwater sources, like here, that we could take advantage of. Normally, groundwater is blue until we start polluting the crap out of it. And, well, can't imagine a power plant polluting anything. So we did that, but that took a lot of money. And in fact, it took so much money that I think by the time I got done, we had a loan outstanding of 1.6 $1.6 million, give or take. Now, we did kill some pretty significant time, and we built in this small and completely mostly non-functional park. This part's functional, this part's functional, this part is not. It's just something for our little citizens to walk through, and absolutely nothing happens with them using any of the other stuff. So we did all that. And this is a little bit of decoration that I'm not personally used to doing, because normally when I play for myself, and oh no, I'm not spending an hour decorating a corner. But we did, and I think we had some fun with it. But ultimately, when we left in severe debt, but we were making money. We had finally gone from making $7,000 an hour to closer to $30,000 an hour, thanks to this wonderful geothermal power plant and the fact that we ran high-density power lines all the way up, right up here, where it connected to our main power network that existed, not still exists there. And then, of course, that power network goes out of town, where it's supplying the void beyond our city with power, as the void hungers, always. All right, and as for this power line, we might maybe have decided to go underground and hide it there. Okay. But it still exists. It's still attached. It's just attached to right here. So it snakes underground a little bit, connects up to this power line right here, then comes over to our transformer station. So it's still all good. We're fine. So what I decided to do was what I always do when I'm in tremendous debt, first thing after starting a new city, or in our case, about 4 hours after starting a new city. I went away. No, seriously, I left the sim on, I left my computer running, and I took a break. I went and did my dishes and I went for a walk. I came back every 15 minutes or so. I paid down our loan. I made sure that we were sort of maximizing our time for a city being in existence. And the end result is no loan. We are paid off and we're making a significant amount of money a month. In fact, so significant that we're clocking in at about $60,000 an hour. For us, this means that we are approaching the era of can almost do everything we will want to do. And this is a wonderful era to be in. There is one more thing that we can do. Oh, and there's one more thing that I did. Instead of just paying off the loan and coming back to here with a zero balance, nah. I came back here and I let the game run a while longer. I let the game bring us up to almost $1 million, over $500,000 in currency right now. That's going to increase as soon as I hit the unpause button, which I'm going to do right now. Okay, so we're at $668,000 and climbing. But we have a couple of urgent problems that have to be solved. And one bonus. The bonus that we can do is we can take another look at our geothermal plant and some of the upgrades. We don't need a new high voltage substation because we don't need a second power line. Power lines do have a maximum capacity, but right now they haven't met it, so that's not something we have to worry about. But what we can do is add an additional turbine to this building. Now, it'll bump up our upkeep and bump it up pretty substantially. So right now we're already shelling out 300,000. If we get this additional turbine, our hope is that it will pay for itself and it'll increase our total monthly income. Of course, we do this, we're not going to see the result right away. So I want you guys to take another good look down here. $63,000 an hour. Oh, of course, we could also do the small one, the binary, just to increase the temperature, or not the temperature, the output a little bit more for about 100,000 less, but with a maximum of half of that. So really, it's kind of the better investment, just on a mathematical space. So let's go ahead and hit it. Now, that did cost a significant chunk of money, and that may or may not have been part of the reason why I let the game run for a while. So, now that's boosting our total cost up. We'll come back over here and check on this in just a moment. See what we're maxed out as the simulation gets used to the new change. But even as the simulation gets used to the new change, you can see that we've already lost a little bit of money, but it's coming back slowly. We'll see a slight increase on that, and every increase we can get is for the best. So, because what we need to do now is twofold. First things first. And first things, unfortunately, is all about raising the dead or keeping the dead from coming back. One problem for going AFK for an extended period of time is that people are going to die. Not because you're AFK, but just because people die, and it's terrible. And they filled up our graveyard, our second graveyard, almost entirely. Not so useful. We have options here. We have two of these, and they can, at the most, hold 100 corpses, or we can give them extensions for 130,000 each. That's going to increase their maximum storage by 50 a pop. So another $260,000 will give me an extra 100 bodies. Just for reference on this, though, this whole facility only costs us $40,000. So that's a bit odd to me. It is not worth the cash investment unless you're really doing it for looks. Now, we did leave. Thankfully, with this particular building, these extensions are handled within the footprint. And I'm not going to lie to you, it does add more width to it. It does make it look pretty cool. But this one's almost full. The other one is completely full, wherever it is. Wherever it was. I know there's one over here somewhere. We put it down. There it is. It's It was completely full. My body must have decomposed or something. Don't know. Whatever happened, we're almost run out of room for the dead. But all is not lost. This game offers two different choices for corpse disposal. Option number one are cemeteries. We have the UK Parish Church, this small little building that we've been using, or we do have access to the large cemetery with a storage room of 5,000 for, honestly, it's what? A little bit less than 3 times as much as the Parish Church and can hold, I don't know, 4,900 more bodies. And it's really going to last you a while, but take a look at this thing. It is not small. It's pretty sizable, and it's got additional things that get attached to it off the sides or off the back that really will eat up space. Now, the good news is when you use this, it will become a landmark of sorts. It's going to be worth a significant amount of, well, it's only three, well, at base, it's only worth 3 indoor recreation, and it will increase the well-being within 300 meters. All of this is a good thing. All of this allows for a minor expansion. All of this just makes everybody happy. So what we are going to do is not put that. Because when I think of a cemetery, I think of something that's on a hillside, that's a little secluded, that's in a respectful place, like maybe even something as close to this little outcropping right over here by the water, or something that's buried off in the woods. In reality, I know that's not the case. You'll find a cemetery downtown. Literally, you will find a cemetery in my downtown. In fact, there's a cemetery next to my local Sam's Club. There's a cemetery on the main road leading from two separate towns, on a state route that's in a heavy urbanized area. So my ideal of a cemetery does not necessarily reflect that of reality. We need this building though, and I'm genuinely torn, but I don't want to invest in another, plot of land. I mean, it would be kind of cool to drop it over here, but that's going to be a lot of squares to buy just for a cemetery. We're not going to do any of that. What we are going to do though is build a crematorium. These are significantly more expensive. You do have to unlock them, but we already have. They are unlocked under healthcare for 1 point, crematorium. We have 2 variations of them as of right now in the vanilla game. And variation 1 is the classic crematorium, can store 20 bodies at a time, so which tells us we are going to need the other cemetery. It can handle up to 20 corpses at a time, and it's got a pretty decent processing rate. The other option is a French crematorium, which is much smaller, fewer hearses by 5, and doesn't have any extensions. So we're going to go ahead and put down a crematorium right now while we scout out and look for a good place for a cemetery. We'll be using crematoriums everywhere as the city develops. It's just a fact of the game. Death care is a major issue when it comes to playing Cities Skylines 2. And if you don't keep up on it, you will regret it. It's one of the major services that's requested. It can really throw your whole system upside down, and not in a good way. So, again, I want to be respectful to the bodies we're about to burn, which means I'm not putting it right up against a highway. I am not putting it right up against an industrial plant. I am not putting it over here where I have other plans. I'm trying to look for a good spot. I also don't want to stick it right behind a house. That's a little much, and definitely not over here next to a school. So kind of one of our few available options is to squirrel it away right now behind these office buildings, which is a choice, but I've kind of got plans for Bedford Street. Our other available option is that we can stick it up here on one of these hills that we already have unlocked. run a road out to it. And while I do have some hopes and dreams for some of this area, I think that may just be the classiest thing that we can do. So let's take a look at our geography, see how high up this is going to be. And you have to keep in mind, I firmly intend to put a whole lot of not special, but I plan on putting a whole lot of dense residential buildings up through here that take advantage of the river look. So right here, though, if I can zoom in with daylight, we have all of these trees. You know, honestly, we have all of these trees. It looks like a great place for a cemetery, too. How big will that fill up? Okay. So for the crematorium, I'm going to stick it somewhere where our citizens can easily get to it. And as it stands right now, this whole farm section seems to be a focal point of our city through the growth of our city and how it's progressed so far, in a way that I hope is not going to be uncomfortable or disrespectful or miserable. We do have a medical clinic here, a church down here, a mix of residential. Unfortunately, there is a high school track and field. We do have this highway connection down over here. And I think this is, while it's not going to be the quietest place for a crematorium, I do think this may be as relatively respectful as we'll be able to do, given the build of the city so far. Or we can slip it in over here somewhere behind this industrial plant. It doesn't feel quite right, but at the same time, I shouldn't be choking the high school with the ashes of grandfather. It's just one of those things where you have to make a decision. It's a NIMBY question, not in my backyard kind of deal. Or we can drop it in up here. So of those three choices, I think because we're not going to have a lot of developments up here, it wouldn't be the most terrible thing to have this near the highway. It's going to give our hearses some access to some ways around as well. So let me go ahead and set this, because you can see we're already getting death care calls that aren't being filled. And if we have that go on for long, we're gonna have a headache. Okay, so I'll drag that 2-lane road up, and then go ahead and slip it over to right about there. Make a new block here. Then our crematorium is just gonna have to go... Oh, are you kidding me? Overlapping right there. We're going to scoot this down a hair. Just a hair. Like maybe a square. Okay. And then... Oh, quit being fussy. All right, we're taking road snapping off because it's being rude. And I'm going to carefully nudge it right there. It's going to complain that there's no road access there. We both know it's lying. All know it's lying, not both, because I think I'm it. All know it's lying. There we go. Okay, so road access right there installed. Then I am going to go ahead and give this thing a refrigerator expansion. Take that for what you will. Okay, it's in. And then we have 2 additional upgrades we can give it. We can give it more hearses, which we are going to want. We are going to need additional hearses. Let's turn on road snapping again. The additional hearses can pull out on Elm Street. Or I don't want to put them up here because I'm probably going to end up doing something with that little bit of a highway right there. And moving it around is just going to be a pain. So we'll slip a hearse beside it, across. I don't know. I think if, well, because, let me think. Yeah, just because the hearse garage is right there doesn't mean that the dead bodies will be, carried across the street. No, I think what I'm going to do is come over here to our parks. We're going to look for a, let's see, large plaza is too large. Passage Park isn't going to fit. Swing over to small plaza. As soon as I find it. Actually, first, Modern Pocket Park. Yeah, Modern Pocket Park. Then a small plaza. Pocket Plot. Pocket Park. Cannot say that. Get in our hearse garage right behind it. On both sides. And we're good. So now we have Crematorium with 20 hearses total. Now, usually, I'm just going to be straight with you. I don't know what happens to the ashes in this game. When you build a cemetery, there is a building where ashes can be stored, but I've never known that to get filled up. It is my understanding / assumption / quiet hope against hope that the ashes are taken back home and that I have never misjudged my, cities. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stick in the additional incinerator just because we can afford it. Let's just get it in, let's get it done, and then I don't have to worry about coming back to upgrade this building ever again for this particular one. And that'll boost up its processing speed a little bit. And we're good. And say hello to our first crematorium and my indecisiveness. Another thing that we can do now is I'm pretty sure we can come over here and no, we cannot empty it. Cool. Okay, I was afraid we could empty it. So we can't empty it. We're just going to have to deal with that little icon flashing on it forever. Fine, whatever. We do now have a new city block here that we'll have to come in and fill in with something later. What? I don't know, but something. And we do still have all of this room as well. And taking one quick look, this is a 4-lane, yeah. Does it look different? What did I do differently? Oh, it's 4-lane with, it's a 4-lane with wide sidewalk. Huh. It just looks off. I don't know why. Oh well, mine is not to wonder, mine is to do. And we have an open space right there that I'm sure was supposed to be a house, but it's not, so let's see if we can't wedge one of these pocket parks in it without breaking somebody's house. And it doesn't look like it's going to let me, does it? Okay, well, that's what we have decoration tools for. And we're going to come down here. We're going to go to commercial for a change. I'm going to grab maybe not commercial. I'm down here to residential. Grab a greenhouse. Do I have any bigger greenhouses than that? Play cabins. I've got some UK garden rooms. They'll fill this in perfectly. They're not going to fit. We'll slip a garden room right there. We'll also add what do they call that? A pergola. Okay. Word for everything. So says the author. All right, we'll add a few of these right down here so people can duck out of the shade. And then last but absolutely not less, I'm going to add a couple spruces just to give that poor homeowner's insurance company a aneurysm. Okay, we're good. We've detailed that. Looks a little less empty, a little prettier. We're golden. All right. Now, another problem is, look, our high school has filled up. We can go ahead. Is there an extension we can buy? We didn't buy the school library extension. We have money for that now. Let's go ahead, get that. Increases chance for graduation, which is always a good thing. But we do have a problem. Our elementary schools are still not enough for this community. Our high school is not enough for the community. And our college and universities don't even exist yet. I'm a college grad. I firmly believe in the need for education. And 100% honest, it is something that I struggle with in this game because of the way that the game mechanics are made. It seems that whenever you have anybody move into your town, they show up as a school-age child. And they get stuck in the system. It takes forever. And this becomes more and more apparent as the simulation slows down. Where, you're expanding quickly because you've got all this money, but your city is being held back artificially. It's a gripe. It's something I hope they're working on. I'm not going to let it take away from how much I enjoy the game, though. But it is going to make me invest in some additional school locations. So, once again, we're looking at our school options. Once again, our absolute best choice is the city elementary school if we can find a good spot for it. Let me turn back on roadways. We've got one there. We've got one there. We don't have one up here, but we're not going to put in a lot more residential up here. Our upcoming residential focus is all going to be down this way. We're going to be creating a giant path leading to the coastline. It's going to split off a little bit from here to here, but our main cityscape is going to flow down this river and across this area. So I want this school to be somewhere where we can anticipate in advance where buildings are going to be, just for the sake of having future planning. I also don't want it on a 2-lane road. I do want it on a 4-lane road at the very minimum. And of course, just to be even more complicated, I don't necessarily want it right on our 8-lane road. I think there is a small little divot right there that would look reasonably okay to put a school in. So let me jump on that right now. Let's see what road we have that we can bring over. It's going to be that 2-lane. Set, drag, build. We start our ascent up the hills into high property taxes, which thankfully our school's not going to have to worry about. Okay, we'll just go ahead and set it. I'm not going to set it directly on the road. I'm going to bring a 2-lane right up here, keep it a little bit on the edge, and in the words of the great city planner plays, we will respect the terrain for now. We're going to do some things to the terrain later that is going to be so obscene I'll probably have to change my content rating. All right, we're going to go for broke. We're going to go ahead and just invest fully in it because we've got enough money coming in, had enough money coming in. We just bumped back down to 57, even though we were higher than that. But the good news is we're producing electricity and we're not in trouble. All right. And no, I haven't forgotten about this district over here or that. We're getting to them. I promise. But regular school's one thing. Let's look at our high school options next as we get ready to make a bigger investment. Okay. This high school almost fits. It can handle 800 students. This one only handles 600, and it also almost fits. It would be wonderful to be able to fit this in right here, but I'm not in the mood to crush schools and do a whole lot of damage. I could be talked in to putting a high school behind our first elementary school. That's not going to be the worst possible spot for it, but another not worse spot, I think, is either going to be over here next to this school that we just put down. We can have a whole full school campus of, you know, 17-year-olds from 17 to 5, which it sounds terrible after saying it like that. Hey, Brain. Hey, Dota. All right. Speaking of things that sound terrible, please feel free to pet the kitty for me. Dota is the kitty. I just want to clarify that. Dota is Brain's kitty. But hey, it's good to see you, dear. I've had a long day, and I'm trying to relax playing Skylines too. So, right now, we're looking for another place to put a smaller high school than our first one. But I know you didn't get a chance to see it. We went ahead and built onto our initial high school. It's got all the amenities now, put a giant parking lot behind it, the high school, we've got the high school sports field, and then all of this residential area. I know you were anxious to see how that was going to come out, and that's how it came out. Okay. Let's see what I mean, guys? Cemetery number 2, it has filled up. So we're doing good because our crematorium is doing what it does. Okay. Let me think for a second, which is usually a dangerous endeavor. Just ask anybody who knows me. What I'm going to do is come over here to this 4-lane road. We're going to drag it. We're going to swing it out down to where this 2-lane road is. We're going to replace the 2-lane with a 4-lane. Bring it up at 180 degrees. We are going to look and see. So my choices for this high school, I can go with one that can be upgraded within its footprint, or one that's going to take an upgrade that's going to expand its footprint. And when I say footprint, what I mean is the amount of space that the building is going to take up. So right here, where this building is taking up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units one direction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units in another direction. That's the footprint it's taking up. Same thing with this high school. This high school's taken up so much space down both sides, and then the extra footprint. I think because this area is going to become very modernized very quickly, that we're going to go with a more compact high school. And I actually am going to go ahead and do the thing, and we're going to stick it just down the block from the actual school. I know in the real world there would be some questions about this, because when you have situations where adult kids mixed with younger kids, you know, they get exposed to things that they shouldn't necessarily be exposed to, that, you know, teenagers do, because teenagers do stupid things. I should know. I was one. I did a lot of stupid stuff as a kid. For the purposes of the game, for the purposes of the look and feel, and for the purposes of our upcoming districts, I think having it scooted over near our major residential and near the existing school system is still going to be okay. At least I hope. I hope this would not be something that would get me forever, you know, vilified at a PTA meeting. It might. Who knows? Okay. So 2-lane road this time. Coming down. I don't think that I'm going to have this road cut all the way through to that southern 2-lane. I'm going to keep it focused to right here with our 90-degree angles. We're going to build a block right there. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. We'll snake up. We'll put our school right here. Now we're going to take a look at our amenities. what it gets upgraded with. The extension floors for another $130,000 will add an additional 400 student capacity. And then our sports park for $30,000 will increase our outdoor recreation and give us an additional sizable well-being. So we're going to go ahead and invest in that. Let that set. I am strongly considering the extension floors. We're going to see how bad it's needed. And in a moment, we're going to level up to level 9 before I really get a chance to do much of all. In fact, because we're going to level up to level 9, I'm just going to go ahead and jump on it. It's 130,000, and we'll get that back in a second. That didn't get us our level. I'm disappointed. I am. All right, large sports park time. However, we do have that giant track and field that's over on the left. Let's look for, I feel like a soccer field, since we know that they're using that for football over there, would be possibly the most appropriate building. So let's get it in. Let's wedge it in down here. Let's see. I think I would kind of like... There we go. Okay, milestone 9 unlocked. We've got 9 more progression points, an additional 225,000, and of course, as always, that we get expansion permits. Let me close for a second. Oh, we also unlocked Morrissey Supermarket, a new signature building that we'll find in just a second. Let me go show it to you. First, our signature building, because I'm curious. It's under commercial. It is looking. We're looking. Ooh, we actually got more than that. We unlocked the German department store, which is a great old-timey building. Denmark-style corner. We got a Denmark department row building. We got a music hall. We got that supermarket, which is going to fit in perfectly here after a while. And those are all the new things that we got. These are some great buildings, some beautiful assets. This one in particular, the department store, we may be putting this down a lot sooner than I was anticipating, if my next plan goes to plan. And if you know me, you know my plans do not go to plan. But let's take a look. What do we got here? All right, we're going to need a hospital soon. We're not going to need it right now. We just put down this new medical clinic. And even, I want you to ignore those 2 little hospital demands. Right now, it's got 4 or 5 ambulances in use. It's got 42 of 150 patients. While we'll need to invest in a hospital soon, we're not building it right now. Moving down, we've got all of the garbage management facilities we need for the foreseeable future. Later, once we hit closer to 50, 60,000 people, I am definitely going to get industrial waste processing, but not until we buy a bunch more tiles. All right. Universities, we unlocked the important part, the actual university. There are 2 more universities that we do want to get, Technical University and Medical. These are very big structures. They take up even more space than the typical university. They do confer additional bonuses, but because they confer additional bonuses, they confer additional costs. They're out for right now. Plus, I use them as landmark buildings. And we'll be building entire neighborhoods around those, if we get to that far, if my computer doesn't burn up before then. All right. City Hall, however, is going to be something very useful for us. While we shouldn't have to take much more in the way of loans, we'll probably have to get at least 1 more, and the City Hall will decrease the amount of money a loan costs us. Tram, water, air. I would love to find a way to work in a tram into the city, because trams are very popular for public transport. But they take up space, a lot of space, and, well, let me rephrase that. They would work for this neighborhood, but being honest with you, we don't have a lot of need for public transportation. Most of these places, if I were driving, I would say it would take me roughly, let's say, maybe Let me think. I would say at worst it would take me half an hour, maybe 40 minutes to go from here all the way over here. Now, that is a pretty sizable thing for driving a car. It does make it difficult to walk. We're going to address the walking part momentarily. But I don't think that you would need much more in the way of transportation for this city for right now. I will be talked into doing transportation later, and trams may well be a part of it. At the moment, I'm going to hold off. That's something that I'd like to build when we have a lot more interest, or a lot more citizens. Water, it's out. Air is such a pain, and it generally doesn't bring in that much in the way of benefits. Tourist attractions are wonderful, but we don't have enough points because I got City Hall. All right, that's out. And lastly, telecom tower, post sorting facility, server farm. We'll need the server farm. Post sorting facility is going to be kind of iffy. Since we have 7 points and nothing that we want, I'm probably going to spend it on that. We don't need any other power plants for a long time now. Wait, I was wrong. Our water treatment plant. We can get that. And then I'll go ahead and get that telecom tower. We're good. Leaves me with 1 development point for later when we hit level 10. Okay. Telecom tower. Take a quick look. What's our telecom like? Kind of crappy. 1 telecom tower is going to make a big difference for the whole city. In fact, it's going to arguably replace this radio mast. The only reason I'm not in a hurry to get rid of the radio mast is because actually, no. All right. Screw the radio mast. It's going away. Bye-bye. We pause the game for this so nobody gets angry. And telecom tower. With the modern architecture pack, we also get the modern telecom building, which is a skyscraper of sorts that is super expensive, does nothing useful. I mean, it's useful. It is super expensive. It's got slightly more range than our telecom tower and significantly more cost by a factor of 1,000,000 with hardly any upgrade in network capacity. There is, however... Oh, that's not even it. All right. The other 2 buildings we haven't unlocked yet, well, don't worry about them right now. For the moment, telecom tower in the middle of a city is something that everybody sees everywhere anymore. Ideal world, it would be on a hill. Not an ideal world, flat land. Welcome to Idaho. Okay, so our new telecom tower, it's overkill. We don't need it, but as we expand out, that's going to make a little bit of a difference. Plus, all things considered, it was relatively cheap. Okay, telecom tower down. Now, let's take a look at that water treatment plant at 400,000. And again, the reason why I'm excited for that is because if you... Oh, where is it? Where is it? Where did it go? No, seriously, where did it go? Okay, our sewage pipe down here, it is turning our water brown. It's not a lot of brown. It looks like they've toned that down. But this land right here is toxic. Nobody's going to want to live here. And it's going to look disgusting in the light, and I hate it. And having a water treatment plant, while expensive, is something that will make me, as a person, feel better. It does have a pretty significant upkeep cost to it. And worse, it's got a pretty heavy footprint. There is a smaller water treatment plant that costs the same amount of money, 400,000. It does, in its defense, have the same upkeep, have the same sewage treatment value, have the same purification rate, but it does not have any upgrades to it, and we'll want to use upgrades for it. So, one water treatment plant coming up. It's going to fit in perfectly over here with the rest of our industrial district. In fact, it'll fit so perfectly, we'll put additional industrial buildings around it later, just to help it blend in a little bit more. As a bonus, this land's already polluted. It's not going to make much difference. The other option is if I slip it down over here next to this power plant, where it would fit in just as well, look and style-wise. In fact... looking at this, let's look at our ground pollution. Very badly. Very badly. This ground pollution right here is where we had our incineration plant briefly. Water pollution. If we're going to have to avoid putting any water pipes or anything over here too, as it is, let me just go ahead. I don't know. It's going to go up here next to this industrial area just because it's going to fit a little bit better, aesthetically speaking. Doesn't matter as long as it's hooked up to the water network. All right. That bumped us down by about 10,000 an hour. So we are now officially earning a lot less than when we started. But let's take a quick look at the add-ons, although I'm not investing in them right now. The advanced filtering system looks like this. We can put down as many as we have room for them, but they do have to mesh up perfectly with the building. And because I put the building in a corner, we lost a little bit of space. Same thing for this. This is the extra processing plant, and it'll increase the sewage treatment level for the plant. Again, we'll need it. We don't need it right now. The advanced filtering system, though, I am going to put down at least one. In fact, I'm going to put down both of them. And again, this isn't a case where it gives me the opportunity to put it around the building. This is going to have to be right on top of the building. It eats up space. It's kind of gross, but it's not something I can do anything about. So in we go. We spent a lot of money. This is an expensive building. It's going to be running us almost 200,000 a month. And if you check, that is, how close is that? That's about half of our power plant. On the other hand, now I can come over and get rid of that sewage pipe. And then I go underground and get rid of those sewage pipes. Is that it? No. So drag and pull all the way over here to where it intercepts with the main city. So our sewage problems are fixed for quite a long time now. We don't have to worry about them. And we're still making money. So far, so good. I'll head over there later and decorate that a little bit better. All right, speaking of decorating, let's do something about this. Come down here, we're going to use the one-way small pedestrian street. We'll let that connect to the road down there. Come up as... yeah, we'll just let it connect. Okay. It was just looking weird for me not having any way for people to do anything. And just for the sake of it, I'm going to run a second small pedestrian street for no valid reason whatsoever. I'm keeping the length of the block right. I'm going to get rid of those weird crosswalks right there that we don't need now. Same thing with down here. Because I was putting in, and that put in additional stop signs that we don't need, so let's get rid of the, or stoplights, so let's get rid of those. And then for right here, the main reason I did this was so we could have a, just a classic thing of vegetation. We'll do spruces. We'll use our line tool. We'll put the distance down to about 10 meters, so it's not overly huge. And of course, I'm running over top of existing plants at first. Okay. So line of trees right there. I feel like I should do something with the back end of this as well. So let's come over, grab a pedestrian path. We're going to be careful. We don't want it to create a node to the street, but we do want it to connect by the street. Okay, that keeps that there. We're good. And I don't know. It almost feels like there should be a parking structure here because this is America. Hey, 60, thanks so much for spamming the chat with stuff I don't actually care about. So, let me Much as I do appreciate having extra people posting in here, goodbye now. And that takes care of that. Okay, sorry about that. My usual moderator is out getting dinner, she said. So how dare, absolutely how dare, she have a life that doesn't revolve around me? That's almost insulting. But she'll be back for the next stream, hopefully. All right. And if you couldn't tell, I'm completely kidding. Just in case anybody watches this in the future and you're like, oh, wow. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. She's a lovely woman, and I appreciate everything she does. All right, we're going to go ahead and slide in another large parking lot off of Emerson Street, and that'll put it behind some additional buildings. We'll go ahead and build in right here. We'll go over here to our North American mixed housing, fill that in. Same thing right through here. And then right on the other side of that parking lot, I'm going to grab a... Will skate park fit there? Sorta, but not. I'm going to flip in an extra bonus basketball court. That would be something I would expect, kinda. Okay, and then if we can, and I think we can we? I'm going to... I'm going to take off all snapping tools except for 90 degrees. We're going to wiggle ourselves in here as tight as we possibly can. Zoom in so we can get that tightness. You know, we're not going to start on that side. We are going to come up. Oh yeah, we can do this. Start here, drag it all the way down. I'm just being careful. I don't want to overlap a node. Zoom out this time. Walkway installed. Let's snap to geometry. Work that path right in there. We got it. We're good. We're doing it, guys. We are doing it. And by it, I mean laying a piece of pavement down on the ground. What do you think I was talking about? Okay. Got it. We got plenty of room to come over here. Avoid breaking that potential zonage. Got it. Drag this all the way to that intersection and those pedestrian paths done. Swing down all the way. No overlaps. Bring that over. Bring that over. Bring that down. When you're doing pedestrian pathways, anything that creates or makes an adjustment to a node, it has a chance to change the size of the roundabout, and in this case, it would delete that apartment complex right there. So we're being very gentle. Yep, and we don't want it to look like that because that would just look weird. Sliding it there, and sliding it there. That leaves us with a little bit of open space. That's okay. Cool. Take a look. Parking, high school, city school, soccer field, new mixed-use commercial residential, a basketball court right in the middle of all of these apartment complexes. I think this is pretty perfect. Like, I'm not saying it's the best neighborhood to live in, but I mean, I wouldn't complain if I had to, you know, move into the city for a few years and this was the spot I could get. Now, speaking of doing city roads, since we have that much space right there, Nothing stopping us from increasing our pedestrian walkthrough. This doesn't overlap. Cross your fingers so that it doesn't mess up the zoning in 3, 2, and 1. We're good. We now have an additional pedestrian walkthrough cutting that area. Let's go and get rid, however, of at least... I don't want to have any pedestrians walking... Well, let's see, where's our next intersection? I think an intersection... No, not right here. So that just gives... Well, it is going to force these cars to stop, but it's not going to be a stop for red light, which shouldn't make a huge headache. However, speaking of huge headaches, we've got an onrush of new people coming in, and as soon as you put down a parking lot in this game, and I don't care where or when, it will fill up like a madman. Now, this tells you a couple of things. One, you don't have enough public transit. Two, you don't have enough parking, like in places where I've gotten rid of parking in exchange for trees along the side roads. Three, it tells you that this game is just weird because people aren't parking at their houses for light residential. Obviously they don't have a place to park in a high rise. In fact, that may be such a problem that I'm going to look at one of my other parking structures that we got. Multi-level parking is not going to fit there. This overground parking lot is huge. It absolutely won't. This small side parking lot, I can sneak that in here too, but it does come with the risk of causing additional traffic congestion. Every time you put in a parking lot, vehicles slow down when they go into it. It's a lot like real life. Unlike real life, though, it can create a huge traffic headache because the way the traffic patterns in this game are managed. That said, if I can fit it in on this road right here, if I can get it to... Come on. I don't want to put it that close to a roundabout, so... Okay, so just to check, this is a pedestrian walkway. If I put the parking lot here, it will sort of mess that up a little bit. I feel like I need to. I don't know if I'm going to. I will stick this small little parking structure here for now, and we'll see if it creates a headache. Because again, we could afford it. I didn't even look to see how much it cost. All right, 47,000. However, when we hit level 9, we did get something unlocked that is going to help a little bit, and that is high-density commercial buildings. Now, in my town, I don't have high-density commercial buildings. I'm going to say that the closest I ever saw a high-density commercial building was when I was visiting New York a few years ago, and I was in Times Square and saw these outstanding establishments that were multi-floors high, and they were all filled of, like, one giant standing mall. In my area, or not mall, but one giant standing multi-floor department store. To the best of my knowledge, we've gotten rid of those in my town. There is a mall a couple of hours away that's multi-story, but these are not that. I'm going to go ahead and zone a couple over here because this was my plan to put them all along, so I left this space open. And you guys can get a good feel for what they look like. We're using the North America style, but I'll go ahead and sneak in a British style one too. Okay. When these come in, I'll give you guys a quick look, but right now we're zoning those over there. They're also going to get zoned in over here because we've got all this. While it is mixed use, commercial, residential, I am going to go ahead and fill this up a little bit. Okay, so there's our parking garage I just put in. Let's fill in behind it with that. It would make sense to me as a developer to have a large commercial building right next to a parking garage. I assume it would make sense to everybody else. Moving down. What can we fit in that little spot right there as well? Small single row parking lot is not gonna... Why not? It's a single row. Small solar powered is not going to fit. Tiny parking lots. One will fit, but not two. Let's do 2 motorcycle parking lots, and then a mini park right between them. Just a place where people can stop, sit down, chill for a sec. Okay. And this building's already filling up. It's almost at 42. This other parking lot has not yet filled up. Okie dokies. I'm not quite ready to make the dive into building our high residential. There's 2 reasons for this. The moment you start putting in high density residential, your city is going to start filling up in a big way real fast. And it's going to start taxing services, especially services you don't have yet. And there are 2 particular services we are still missing. And one minor. The minor service that we don't have yet, we have neither the welfare office nor the city hall. Unfortunately, the city hall, despite the fact that it will decrease your loan interest and decrease your import costs, which is just good for your city as a whole, people will keep money. They won't be spending as much. They'll be using it to level up the buildings, making more room, making more money that way. It is almost $2 million, and that's out. The modern city hall is over $2 million, so that's completely out. I am going to go ahead and get the Japanese Health and Welfare Office, though. This will cover most of the city except for that corner up by the main highway interchange that we have coming in. But I think for us, our purposes, and our needs, it's going to be a pretty significant change. Now, all this does is really, it will help boost our people's wealth, healthcare, the whole 9 yards. And while our healthcare is solid, while our wealth is not, let's see, that's our workplace availability. Our wealth is actually pretty good. There's very few poor people. Well, no, I take that back. Look at all this. All this high is household wealth. All this low, the stark green, they're wretched. They're poor. Life sucks. I dig. Looking at this, these lower density places that were first here when we first came in, that we first put down, are struggling. And I don't want to see that happen any more than you guys do. I feel bad for them. We have 2 building options. The smaller footprint one, which will blend in everywhere. Let's see, what are our upkeep costs? Because these all do exactly the same thing. The welfare office is pretty big. It straight up is. And it is 110. The Citizen Service Center is about the same size, but it blends into medium density a little bit better. The Health and Welfare Office, the JP, and just for the record, JP is short for the Japan build, the same way that FR is short for French and DE is short for Denmark. I'm not out here trying to say something obscene, not on the stream anyways. What I'm going to do is, even knowing my plans for Bedford Street, we do have a little bit of available-ish space over here. Or if I put it anywhere I want to, we're going to lose some buildings. But if I'm looking at this right, we do have a radio mast that I put down earlier that I'm going to delete. Deleted. We've got this walkway. It's in my way. We'll delete that. We'll come over and we'll stick this welfare office right here. We'll use the Japanese version for the aesthetics. And now we can get a good close view for it. Now, this isn't going to change a whole lot on the surface. It's just going to improve the quality of their lives, which is going to help them level up their households. When the households level up, they do better. They produce more. You can see right here. Uh, Higher level residential buildings have higher upkeep costs that the citizens living in them will have to pay, but they also consume less water and electricity, which is good for me, produce less garbage, which is good for me. The higher level the building is, the happier you as the mayor are, and the happier your people are. All right. But because I don't want to completely lose that pathway, let's make some adjustments. Be careful about it. We're good. We're good. Connect. Being 100% straight with you, there is absolutely nothing at all wrong in this game with taking a moment and adding a citizen path where you can't build anything else. The more your people can walk, the better your traffic problem is. And your traffic problem in this game will always be a problem. All right, let's take a look at pocket park availability. Can we get this to rotate to that street? Sure can. We're good. So even a little bit better. One thing that the game is going to yell at you for, though, is it's going to say things like, oh, well, you know, your land value is too high. And you're going to have residents complaining because if the land value is too high, the rent's too high. What increases your land value? Access to parks and public transportation, city services, education. Land value gets high. The better you make your city look, the more expensive it's going to be to live there. I hate it. I hate it in my own city. But it's just the way things go. And sometimes, you know, you have to decide, are you going to do things for the city or are you going to do things for only the residents? Where are your priorities going to be? In my case right now, these priorities are going to be right here, facing the roads, including a little bit of office space. Okay, and this is more dense commercial right here. We have enough people living in these apartment complexes that even though they are low rent and mixed, that they're going to be more than enough for this commercial. All right, speaking of, let's take a look at these commercial buildings so you can get a good feel for them. These are the American ones, and this is something that I really love about this game, where it starts adding advertising space on these, talking about some of the businesses that are on Lido Electronics, the Fatty Bite Burger, Something and All, Caper. But like this whole building is supposed to be Furniture, a furniture store. This whole building is doing convenience food. This building, electronics, nothing but. This building, beverages, requires beverages, sells entertainment. What is it? Limza Bar. You know, a whole building dedicated to something like that, a whole multi-story building. How tall are these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-story building here, selling nothing but convenience food. I can't wrap my head around that. I legitimately cannot. But when you don't have space to expand sideways, you don't have space to expand. You take your space where you can get it. Let's also compare this real quick for employees. This one, 41 employees at level 1, as opposed to this level 2 building, it's only employing 7 people. This is where density questions come into play. So these buildings are going to up, like that one's got 63 people in a space that would otherwise only employ 20 at max if we use low residential or low commercial. And that one's got 81 people in it. This one, is this the European style? Yeah, I think these are the European style buildings. So you can see a slight difference in the architecture for these right now. Again, fun little advertisements on it. Nothing that makes or breaks the game. It's just eye candy for all of us to enjoy. We do have additional zonage over here that I'm going to fill in, but we're going to mix it up a little bit. We're going to put in some small... Oh, no, sorry. Sorry. Didn't mean to do that. You can accidentally overwrite zoning. We don't want to do that. So even these small, high-density commercial buildings, they're still fitting in 10 people, 7 people. So about the same as one of these, but with a smaller footprint because it's going up in the air. Okay. I'm not inclined to add a parking lot over here, though I probably should, because I'm getting tired of paying for parking lots. Then again, a small solar power parking lot right here would actually fit in, so we can do that. Just for these people, because we'll be nice to them. Okay, and back to some additional high-density commercial, because that's how I want to fill this in. I'm going to leave those 3 squares alone. There's no sense in it. We'll put in a little bit of light commercial behind it, a little bit of light office space too, down along this walking path. You can put parking lots next to walking paths, but cars are going to drive on them. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I could run this as an alley. I'm not going to. Just, no. I like that being a walking path, and cars can just pull in and people can get ticked off and learn to duck. Welcome to life. All right, I don't like having nothing in this corner here. Let me grab... Let's see, where are those? I know exactly what I'm looking for, and I can't think of where to find them, because I already scrolled past them. That's too small. It's not as big as I thought it was. That's not rendering. There we go. I'm going to stick a food stall right there. Right there, and a final one right there. We'll go over to our basic decorations for commercial stuff. Set down a couple of commercial tables. All right, Brain. Well, we're almost wrapped up here as it is. Yeah, please be careful in the snow. It's going to be ridiculous again this weekend. I still can't get out of my driveway. So, I mean, where I'm at, yeah, I'm over it. I'm over it. This kind of stuff doesn't happen in June. Ugh. Miss you already, August. I swear I do. Of course, I missed August like 5 minutes after September started. But anyways, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I hope you had a good time. And I look forward to having you at the next one. Hey, do me a favor when you can, share that this stream exists. Let other people know. Because, yeah, I need to get up to 50, and I'm not likely to get there at this point. Who knew that watching somebody build a city wasn't the most exciting thing to do for your time? I mean, I kind of had some hints, but then again, I'm addicted to games like this, so what I know is not always the right thing. Okay, we'll stick in that right there. All right, but I will catch you soon. Have a good night, dear. Ooh, okay, between you, me, and the wall, I love the looks of this building. And again, it's more furniture, which is weird, but okay, whatever. Okay, so we got our small block of high-density commercial built. Okay, and you know what? Truthfully, won't hurt. A bit more right there. We'll come in behind these buildings and we'll slip in more of our medium density housing. And we just unlocked another signature building, this time Polaris Suites, which sounds like something that's going to be more expensive than would be found in a block like this. Oh, I just tried zoning residential on a parking lot. That's not going to work. Okay. Oh dear, I missed a chance to fill in stuff and it's going to be hard to see. Well, because it's going to be hard to see, we're not going to worry about it so much. I'm going to put in something, though. We'd be remiss if we didn't. And I would hate to be remiss. Play cabins. Yeah, right here beside a school, behind apartment buildings. It's a bunch of trash containers. Not quite what we're looking for. Greenhouses aren't going to see a whole lot of sun. I don't know. When in doubt, shrubbery. And I'm in doubt, so. Line 1. Line 2. Line 3. Line 4. Could miss a shrub. Okay, that's a little uneven, but that's life. And then a handful of... You know what? I'm a fan of community garden type things. Handful of apple trees. We'll just run right through there. Cool. Huh. And somehow there's bonus space right there. Let's pop into our decorations. Go over to park, I think. Could be good. Kiosks and stalls. You know, if somebody put a small stage behind my apartment complex, I'd want to beat the crap out of them. It's a small fountain, small fountain, small fountain. Large fountain. There we go. Yeah. Nice little private little spot near the high school, between all the buildings. I think people would like that. I would hope people would like that. I like that. Same token right over here, additional empty space that we literally cannot do anything right here. See, here's why I say that. Because take a look at these buildings. These buildings have been built. The game has decided this is how big these buildings are. They're not going to fill in the rest of these squares. So you've got 2 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've got a 2 by 6 space here that these buildings aren't going to fill in. Now, we can force the issue. I could get the bulldozer tool, flatten them, and force them to fill up this rest of the space, give the game a chance to load in the rest. But in all honesty, how about we don't? Having a variation of buildings and sizes and shapes goes a long way to adding realism to the world. And conversely, not every space is going to be a very busy space. Sometimes spaces are just green spaces that exist for the sake of existing. And we need green spaces. We need places where bumblebees can gather and do stuff. And, you know, we're not wiping out natural habitats every time we turn around. You know, things like that do matter in the long run for a lot of different reasons. But at the same time, this is a city. Cities are busy. Green space is hard to come by. At the very least, let's put in a trash can at the corner that we'll never, ever see again. We'll set out a handful of campground benches along the walkway for people who have disabilities or needs. Give them a chance to take a breather, take a sit. And I'm going to say, you know what? We've got all of these apartment complexes over here. It wouldn't be abnormal, I wouldn't think, if somebody, you know, maintained a sandbox, maintained a small swing set nearby, something for the kiddos a little bit. Even if it's not official for the city, It is, a group of residential people getting together and saying, hey, I think this would look great. Let's do something for the kids. And then we could also even get away with uh, a swimming pool, I think, back here off of this path. It's not a public swimming pool, it's not a major swimming pool, but something where people could just be like, oh, well, hey, we're keeping this maintained for several different families. It's part of the facility or something like that. Of course, I put the stairs at the wrong spot, so let's get a path built up here. Oh, and then override that despite doing my best not to. All right, coming back over, getting that swimming pool back. There we go. And then right beside it, let's stick one of these nifty little gas heaters. Oh, overlapping my... Okay. So, non-functional, doesn't do anything. It's only there for the sake of me. And your own opinions, how you want your city to look, are entirely valid and entirely important. You shouldn't be afraid to just decorate the crap out of something because you want to. And you can take that into the real world too. Decorate, have fun, build stuff. You never know. Somebody may really love it. Just, be respectful to your surroundings. Don't do anything that's going to get people unalived or whatever, stupid stuff. But there. All right, tiny little park, build right through here. We've done a great job. And I'm not going to say that I did all this to do nothing but kill time, but hey, look, we're over 1 million now. Wonder what we could do about that. Well, I know exactly what we can do and exactly what I wanted to do with this set. The good news is, it's about the time for me to log off, get a shower, and get my laundry running. But before I do, let's take a look at one of the other amenities in this game. The basic college itself is not the biggest building, but it's got a major expansion that adds a lot of unnecessary space. It looks great. I love them. I use them. For this city right now, it's not going to fit in. For my plans with this area up here, it's not really going to fit in. However, it does have a student capacity of 10,000. You're only going to need a handful of these. The other option is significantly cheaper. The modern community college also has some pretty heavy expansions to it that are going to have to fit on its particular footprint. And I believe, if we scroll down a little bit, we've got the French college, which takes up no space whatsoever. Like, it takes up less space than our high school and packs in more students. The Japanese college packs in 10,000, the same as the large college we have. I don't even remember if this has expansions to it or not. And to be honest with you, I don't think the UK pack gave us any boost. So I know that I want this building up here. I absolutely do. I have been eyeing this. This has been the spot. I'm pretty sure that if I put our large college up here, our standard college, it's going to kill all of the space. This space is definitely not enough for university. And I think it would just be a bad idea in the very long term. But we do need to get our kids going to college. We've got almost more than 1,200 eligible, and they're not getting educated. We do want our students educated for what's to come in this city. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. We're going to need to do something for our road network, though. We're going to need to do something to pre-plan so that when we put this down, we're not having to move it in 20 minutes. So, at the very minimum, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take our 2-lane roads. We're going to extend it up here a little bit. Unfortunately, it gives me a pretty decent... you know what? That's just going to be terrible. Let's take a look at our elevation first. See where we're capping out at and if there's a significant elevation change. Well, there is. You can see it right here. Let's first start by smoothing this a little bit. We'll probably have to delete that road and get that to even out some. Yeah. Okay. Start by getting us up. Still at a 10% elevation. I don't like that, but if I had to drive up this road in the winter, I'd be unhappy about it. But I live in a valley, so roads like this are not abnormal for me. Okay, we're going to extend it, though, over. Here's a feature the game will do. If you have enough of an elevation difference, it will start putting up retaining walls on the side. If it's got a retaining wall, nothing can be built. There will be no zoning on that side. It's something that I wish was a better managed system than what it is in this game. It looks really cool when it works right. Doesn't always work right. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here. We're going to come over here to our level terrain tool. We're going to pick the top of this hill with our right mouse button. Then we're going to aggressively but carefully try to smooth this out a little bit over here. You notice that this just pushed that up, which is going to be a little difficult. Smooth that down a little bit more. And we're... Whoa, my mouse stuck. Crap! Oh, crap. My mouse stuck. Let's undo all of that. Bad mouse. Smooth that back out. Take our slope terrain tool. Right click the target elevation. Start dragging up to make a ramp with our left. Soften terrain tool. We're smoothing out. We're going to delete that road bit again. Take our 2-lane roads. We're going to try this again. That made the adjustment a lot better because even right there, it decreased the grade by 3%. And you can see by the little triangle icon underneath where it says 214 meters. And the further out we go, the more it decreases the total grade. So that does that. That smooths that out. Unfortunately, we lost our retaining wall right there. So I'm gonna get our level terrain tool again. I'm gonna decrease our brush strength to about 35, decreasing our brush size to 40. We're right clicking, we're dragging it over into the road. We're not going to be able to see this right now, and we're going to aim for keeping it roughly mid-length. We're failing, but we're going to try. So doing that again. Even though we can't see what we're doing, this is sort of the plan. Delete the road. See if that drug it over enough to get our concrete wall back. And what do you know? It did. Here we go. Purely for aesthetic purposes. Downside, look at that. We raised a little bit too high and the road went a little bit too low. We can't build a road right there. Back once again. Terraforming in this game is an art form, and sometimes it just takes a while to get it right. Sometimes you have to double click a button to get it right. So we'll smooth that. We'll delete that. We'll try that. Okay, there we go. We're good. We got our zoning back. And it doesn't look objectively terrible. Not the greatest, especially from where we went over a little bit. So we'll try to smooth that down some. And we'll go ahead and even that up right up here. First we even, then we smooth it down. Nice and careful. We're good. Go ahead and smooth out some of that lumpy bumpy bull stuff over there too. Okay, so downside of course though, sometimes it glitches, sometimes the geometry doesn't like to line up just right, and it'll start showing you under the world if it doesn't like what you've done. Again, glitch gonna glitch. We'll try to smooth that out some. I don't know if we're gonna make a difference. We smooth, now we run our road. And we don't get our wall as, oh, and we made a ugly bump right there. Ew. I'm just going to keep it close. Yep, it's saying that there's a rise right there that I'm just not seeing. See that bump it's putting in there? It thinks there's a massive rise right on that spot. And it's because of where that road, that hillside is sneaking over. So we'll try to flatten. Okay, that fixed that. That fixed that, and what do you know? We still have the water issue. We're poking through the world. I can spend an hour tweaking this. We can hopefully get it fixed by then. Reality is, until I buy this panel, this tile, it's going to be stuck like that. Sorry. We'll get to it later. In fact, the fact that we don't own that tile is affecting what we can do with the geometry right there. Because of course it is. All right. Now that we've done that, not that that was annoying or anything, we have a start with seeing what our grid looks like. And we are going to, as I mentioned before, try to respect the topography as much as possible. One of the ways we're going to respect it, though, is by ignoring it. We're going to turn this 1-lane road into 2-lane. Looks like we're going to have to blow that up. And we have to be careful because this road's got our water pipe that goes to the whole city. We don't want to ruin that, so we pause it before we work on it. Know your networks. Okay, and I'll just go ahead and delete all this road right now. Now, I didn't stop to look what the slope is, but that looks ridiculous. No. It's like the other road. It's a slope, and it's just, it's life. Let me take a look and see. What is that? Oof, almost a 20% gradient. I don't think that anybody would be willing to drive on a 20% gradient unless, you know, it was a matter of life or death. So let's try to smooth this out. We've got our tool. Whoops. Got to go the right direction. Okay. All right, an 8% grade we can live with. 10%, whichever. Somehow we shifted the entire length of the road right there. Okay, so let's get that brought back up. We'll go ahead and go back to our 1-lane road right here, which is our 2-lane road right here. To feed that right over there. We're good. Now, so far, we've done nothing but build in a square with like 2 exceptions. Let me quit doing that. Normally, you would expect this to be a 2-lane road, but we are going to be loading a lot of high density up in this area. And high density means high traffic. High traffic means bigger roads. It's not going to be enough right here to justify a 6-lane, but it's definitely going to be more than what you'd want to try to get through on a 2-lane drive. Just trust me. And because this terrain is not perfectly straight, we're going to be using curved tools, which is going to drastically alter how some of these buildings are faced and what the approaches look like as we do this. Okay, we've got a grade of -6% coming from that high spot to this spot. But we're going to go back to our line tool. We're going to go straight all the way over here. But instead of going straight from there, we're going to come in straight from over here. And looks like we're off our mark a little bit. Sometimes guide roads really make a big difference when you're doing out a layout like this. So you at least have an idea of where you want to be, especially if you're going over the length of several squares, as honestly we just did. Okay, we're good. We're good. We've got the money to play around. That's why we're doing this game the way we're doing it. Once you turn a profit, once you're in profit, as long as you don't overbuild and build like a, you know, 1,000 different things you don't actively need, then you're going to have a hard time going back out of profit. Is just the way the game works. And I'm pretty grateful for that. Not that it can't happen, I'm just saying. Okay, so now we've expanded our road network out a little bit. We've got the basics of our framework. And looking at the basics of our framework, I think that I was wrong. Because looking at this is a 6-lane dropping into a 4-lane. And while it's certainly legal, I think it would create a traffic headache in the long term. Conversely, it's also going to make this look a little bit lopsided because we do have it lowered by about a solid unit. And any way we try to fix this is either going to destroy houses or some of the landscaping we just did, or make us move that park and that high school, all of which we can do. What is the relocation cost for this high school? Let's see. It'll tell us. It's going to be $115,000. Moving the soccer field, $40,000. Moving the school, $50,000. So we're looking at $200,000 plus destroying roads to get this to be 100% perfect. And my question is that worth the cost to you? How annoyed would you be if this road was down 1 unit here as opposed to 1 unit up here? And I have to tell you, that I'm going to save this game. And I'm going to overwrite that save. And then I'm going to leave this game on pause. Because I hate myself. And I'm going to carefully aggressively line this blessed thing up as tight as I can to a 1 unit change with every spot here, which is not going to be possible for this high school. So we're going to incur the moving cost twice. Unless I am... Okay, we're going to take off road snapping. And we're going to line up 100% perfectly with... Oh wait, where is that lined up to? Let's take a look. What is that lined up against? What square is that perfect on? Can't really tell. We'll try by setting some zoning, I guess, and see if we can tell. Okay. Because we know that that's that one square right there. Okay, we can cover, line up right. There. We'll take our road tool for one lane, come over to upgrade, turn off snapping. We'll have to delete. There's an intersection here that it doesn't like, that one. Moving that up a square. Reconnecting this intersection that it didn't like me deleting. Connecting back to geometry. Lining with center. 90 degrees. It ignored that entirely. There we go. Road tools. Leave in one pedestrian walkway heading north. Turn snap to roads back on. Which direction? Okay, so we want the canopies up against Cedar Street. And this connects to the road in a stupid spot right there, okay? So, rotate. Zoom out a little bit for placement. Moved. And buildings will automatically connect to roads even if they are a square off, just so you guys know. Okay, get back over here to our 6 lane. Upgrade. No. No! It's off by a millimeter. Biteth me-ith. Fixed manually. And then, unfortunately, do say goodbye to all of these buildings. First, fixing that intersection. Intersection. Oh, come on. Doing this doesn't... Remember when I said earlier we have to be careful to make sure we don't, delete buildings because it'll change the roundabout direction and all that BS? Well, there's a good solid explanation of what I mean. Even deleting this attachment road is going to make the game think that there's a problem with the node, and it's going to delete that building. At a certain point, you can't do anything about it. If you want to make the change, you make the change. This is going to displace people. It's going to make the simulation choke a little bit. Simulation's going to have to deal. Because I want my layout the way I want my layout. Okay, well, that's unfortunate. It's a mess. I feel bad about it. It was a lot of work that we just had to redo and a lot of money we just wasted. But if you are the person who decides how your city looks, if you don't like the way a certain aspect of your city looks, you are the only person that can change it. You're the person that decides whether you want to put up with it, or the person that decides it's worth spending, in-game currency to get it to match up. And I'm going to... Will that expand? No, that won't fill that spot on the back. But it's okay. These cities are designed to be living, breathing structures, and sometimes they breathe. Sometimes you don't, the way that you anticipated. And sometimes you make a small mistake that just, it will nag at you, and you won't get it fixed the way you want unless you do some drastic changes. And right now, just to make up for it, I'm going to try to stick in a dog park over here. If I can, without messing up that. Nope, it's not going to fit. Then a small playground, at the very least. Yeah, small playground next to a busy intersection. What could possibly go wrong? Everything. Okay. Now we're going to live with that. Now we've got our 6-lane. Oh, it's almost like I'm getting ready to put a bridge there in the future. Okay, our 6-lane continues. And carefully, one node at a time. We'll extend it all the way down right there. I don't think a roundabout right here is going to fit very well. I could be wrong. I think just looking at the way it's highlighting, it'll mess with the geometry a little bit. But a small one, not the worst idea. Because more than likely, this too will be a bridge. But we'll see. This definitely will. We'll be bridging this river eventually with this 6-lane road that we just installed. Okay, we've done all that. We've almost gotten halfway through level 9. Let's get our college down. I really do wish we had room for the full college right here. I think it would be spectacular. It would be a great use of the land. But with my intention to start running high density residential up and down through this, it would take up so much space that we wouldn't be happy with it in the long term. So let's go ahead. Let's see. Pick the college that we want. And modern community, I think. Well, but can be upgraded, and that upgrade, given that that's modern architecture, is going to be forced to be, it's going to increase the size of the footprint. So we're being very picky here for a reason. The French college, as I mentioned, takes up no space, and it's going to take up so little space that it's not going to look right. And this one fills the needs of our community so well that it's not going to be what we want either. Because we're looking for something that's going to be more stopgap. Well, let's see how much space this ends up taking. If we end up picking it up and moving it, you just saw how complicated that can be. But I think it's going to be a good use of space up here. However, let's bring it off of... Ooh, we may not have room to bring it off of that 6-lane, but we're going to find out. Let me try. So I'm going to align that blue ring as close to that final square as I can so I don't overlap. I think we're good if I lay it right there. We're not going to bring it much further than that, because we can always adjust that later. Looks like the game wants to give me a break right there, so... Okay, college. Okay, that's the sports field it can give. The dormitory adds onto the building, not around the building. That's a bummer. The extension wing builds onto it. We could... I think. I'm just going to test something. This is not written in stone. Taking a medium road with angled parking, and much like we did with the French Medical Center, take it, grab it, bring it down at a 90. Then I'm going to, see, doing that gets that in trouble, doesn't give road access. And that's not even going to let me do that. Huh. I'll try that again from that direction. Okay, yeah, it's saying we don't have road access right there, but what if we did that and then took our dormitories? we're going to end up spending some money to move things around. I'm just curious to see what I can get away with. And putting the dormitory up front is still saying, hey, we can't park there. All right, bunch of whining. So, really, the only way. Oh, crap, I just spent money that I'm not going to get back, didn't I? No, we're going to move it a couple times. It's only 14,000. We're making 54,000 an hour. We'll be fine. I'm just going to be annoyed. We'll pause, though. Okay, if I take an alley and run it up in here like a driveway, that's too far. Then will it let me? No, it's still forcing that to be attached, so it doesn't really matter. It's going to have to be on the sides regardless of what I do. Even if I start to drag it all the way over here, I would have to delete that 2-lane road. It's fine, but it still wouldn't connect correctly, I think. Let me check. Let me take one more stab. Nope, it's saying that the full parking lot's not connectable. So, yeah, well, we tried. We gave her the, as it were, the college best. Let's go ahead and use angle parking alleys here. Angle parking alleys? 2-lane angled parking road instead. We have to delete the alley. Just to get it to shut up about that. Then we'll come over here. We'll look at that sports field. Wow. If I had been 1 pixel over, this would not fit it behind the college. But like the other things, it has to be on the building. This is one downside about the modern architecture pack. Other packs in this game have allowed you to keep the focus on the footprint being right on the building without, or at the very least allows you to break it off from the building. For whatever reason, the modern architecture pack does not allow you to take advantage of that tweak that was put in the game. So if I want it, it's going to have to be right up against the building. And if I want to put it right up against the building, well, there it is. Another college dormitory right over here, just for aesthetic purposes, I think. And see, we can't even like stack these against each other. It's really weird, and I don't understand the design philosophy behind it. I think what happened was that they designed this early and released it late, after they had put in some other new developments that would make zoning things like that easier. But hey, it's a good use of our money. I'm happy with it. Okay, that's college dormitories. Dormitories add 750 bodies each, so we've got this thing up to 6,500. We can add an extension wing. That's going to leave the building super lopsided. We only get one of those to add. So, nah, going to leave it like that. Reminds me of the college I went to without the dormitories. But hey, now our citizens can get a better education, which is going to result with them leveling up their business locations, making more money, being wealthier, being happier. And this is a good thing for us. Let's also take a quick look. No, there's no sense in not extend. My mouse slipped. That wasn't 90. Okay, 180. And then, how many squares is that roughly, you guys think? Don't know, because I clicked it off. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 squares that direction. So we gotta quit clicking that off. We need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Good gracious, Joshua. Don't think could have done that. We had tried. Of course, I set that down and it changes the count of squares. So, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can't see it, I'm tapping the monitor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 puts us right here. Along these, we're going to get a walking path. And that's about as even as my brain is going to let me take this. Because, of course, I'm off by a square. $90 to 90. Down we go. Make that a walking unit. Put in a pathway. Sure, the pathway is a 90 right behind the dormitory. And we are outside. Are we? Yeah, we are. Oh, we are so close. Can I? Can I do this? Can I be a hero? No, but can I set this path behind this building? Heck yeah. Will this accomplish anything in the world? And will I delete this later? Yes. I will delete this later. No, it will not accomplish anything at all of any value. But I did it, so there we go. Okay, we've got a college. It's got a sports field. Really, it needs some amenities. Really, we need to put, a park or something over here, a study area, an outdoor gym, something that would really fill in for this the rest of the way. Am I going to do any of those things? Absolutely not. Bite me. We could consider like the rock musicians mansion as like the as like the head of the college, on campus for the college head. And I think that I'm actually going to do that. We're going to just slip it in right over here. We will not get the big benefit of the +2 well-being within 500 meters by having this here, but I swear, am I hearing a tornado? Guys, I'm swearing. All right. Anyways, like this seems like it would be accessible. A dean of the college, a dean of a prestigious college, having his house next to the college. Maybe not necessarily right next to track and field, but hey, what am I gonna do? I mean, yeah. So I think that's itself is reasonable. What's our zoning situation right here like? Okay. Then when we do the stream next, the next thing you're going to do is going to see me putting in some of the French housing that I love so much right over here, because it's going to look dormitory style. It's going to fit in perfectly. It is going to be medium density, which doesn't quite fit our plan, but we're still going to be good with it. And then we'll start putting in some of our high density. The thing that we are missing, though, is a university. And while the modern university is small, will have its own extensions that are going to work very similar to that college extension right up there. The actual university that we're going to build is going to be the major city university. And like those buildings, it is going to come down. This is going to be our first really big building, the second only to the power plant. In fact, it's going to be bigger than the power plant. I'm going to want to put this down here for two different reasons. One, our highway system is going to be cutting. Let me get a road, just to give you guys an idea of the plan. The highway system is eventually going to be cutting from about here, down here, and over, with a couple of different spin-off points and connections and junctions, probably with an SPI and a couple of other things. In addition, having the university over here is going to take advantage of our transportation hub, which we'll be installing soon. And it's going to be able to connect to this whole area once we start getting development made into it too. It will be a long-term planning building, and it's going to be a building that we're going to want to see coming up against the coastline, at least in part. In fact, so we're going to be buying a bunch of squares over here for this building, but that's okay, because by the time we get this installed, even though we'll have to take a loan out for it, I know we will, that unless I go AFK while I fix a dinner and take a shower, which I might actually do, because it is late, whatever. Setting this up this way is going to make this area of the city look like the city center, as opposed to right now where our city center is a bunch of farmland. Nothing against a bunch of farmland, but it's lacking. And I think you guys are going to like what I have planned for this. So let me start by seeing how much we're actually going to need. It's $1.5 million for the university. At the very minimum, let me take a double look. At the very minimum. So if we want to set it over here, at the very minimum, we have to buy 2 tiles, but realistically, it's going to be these 3. We've got plenty of tiles that we can buy. It's just a case of money. How much is it going to be? Tile 1, 52. Tile 2, almost an additional 100,000. Tile 3, we're looking at a $200,000 expenditure. But since we just spent 100,000, 150,000 moving 3 buildings because I'm anal that way, I think this will be just fine for a purchase. It will boost us up for our expenses, but we're still hovering around 60,000. And you're wondering why? It's because while we have invested in new city services buildings, including the crematorium and the college, our people are getting smarter, they're getting wealthier. We did build some additional commercial and a little bit of residential. We're going to offset our expenses on this soon after installing this university. I promise. So let's get it done. There we go. We've got that. That's the land that we're going to use. We need a significant chunk of income to do it that we haven't met yet. And this is going to take a significant amount of back-end space. I know. That's what she said. So when we place this, we're likely going to be moving it. But that is not a today problem, because while I could stream like this all night, I am tired. And I've got a few more chores to do. So yeah, I know, I'm 42. I call them chores. How dare. All right. Thank you all very much for tuning in tonight. I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you had a delightful time. If you're catching this video on the replay or eventually on YouTube, yeah, just thanks for checking me out. I hope I'm explaining things in a way that makes sense and designing a city in a way that's not giving you an aneurysm. Because we've all been to cities like that. I'm looking at you, city name redacted. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Dead Men Streaming, and I'll see you soon.